All right, we are recording for chapter 12 of the Phantom Menace. Right there. Only 3 notes. It's a relatively short chapter, so hopefully this will be a short video. And I'll get straight to the second one because it's the shortest and easiest. Wizard is in the book. Never tried to make slang is my suggestion there. Lucas tried, it did not work. But it is also in the book. So that is kind of funny. Okay. So I don't consider this technical. If somebody wants to argue, you need to suspend your disbelief. It's like, okay, but why should I have to suspend it this far? So a point is made again in this chapter. It's been made a few times. I've just not been talking about it. About the kind of engines that Anakin has put onto his pod racer. Radon Ulzer engines. ULZER. Okay? And these have been talked about previously, they're talking about it again now, as though this explains why it's so fast, why it's so powerful. It's like, okay, granted, it did establish early on when it was first talking about them, these are from a spaceship. I don't remember what specific kind of spaceship, but it's like, okay, yeah, these spaceship engines. Although why they would work, actually is a good question, is it also describes like an afterburner there. It's like, it wouldn't work in atmosphere. Anyhow, or at least it wouldn't be designed to work in atmosphere. It may work, but it may not work as well. But it's just, they keep focusing on this as though that explains why it's so fast, why people can look at me like, oh yeah, that is fast. It's like, he's a slave, a boy as well. So what was it? He is 9, he'll be turning 10? Yes, he is 9 years old. And a slave. He has built this from spare parts and scrap. And we're to believe that this thing would be able to rival, let's just use Sebulba's for the example, because he has won many races, he would have a team around him, and he would have money. No. I mean, it's like the way I put it in my notes is this would be like believing somebody could build an F1 racer in their garage alone and then beat Ferrari. No. 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 It's not happening. It's not happening. I mean, it's like they should be focusing more on this is a competent racer, that it can match some, but mainly that it comes down to his skill. That's the key thing here, his skill. It's also interesting because it's not, it even describes them at one point as massive, which in the movie, they're actually pretty small. It's a small racer compared to most everyone else's, especially Sebulba. Sebulba's huge. Oh, the description is also odd because it makes it sound like the when it's in operation, it forms the X shape instead of it's actually split. It's out like that. But anyhow, it still is this whole. It makes no sense that, oh yeah, he just happened to find these two things, and apparently no one who is potentially making a career off of pod racing ever thought to use the engines from a spaceship for a pod. More realistically, they would have engines made by the same place that makes the spaceship engines, but make a version for pod racing. So a version that would be more designed to run at top speed all the time, designed to operate in atmosphere, designed to operate with dust and debris, because you're not going to run into that as much in space. Less radiation that you need to worry about. Potentially greater acceleration capability, because I mean you got a good distance that you can accelerate a spaceship in, except for like fighters, but it's like you got a good distance that you can accelerate in space. But when you're on the ground, you got to be able to do that in a much shorter distance for a race, so that you can slow down at entering turns and then speed up coming out of them. It's like you would need that. So yeah, it's like, no. It feels, again, that whole flimsy and fragile thing where it's like, we're just putting this in here and saying this because we need to say it, not because it's rational, not because it's reasonable for what the situation is in the story. All right, now the other thing, and it's actually very near the end. Yeah. Amid the confusion and bustle, because everyone, like Mos Espa empties out to go to the arena, to watch the race, which that can't be completely true because you'd expect somebody would be like, hey, I'm going to go rob everywhere. Anyhow, amid the confusion and bustle, a Sith probe droid slowly floated along, mechanical eye traveling from shop to shop, which are closing, and from face to face. Well, from shop to shop, from face to face, searching. So we went from the probe droids can detect the Force, because that's what's clearly implied in the previous chapter, to now it's looking at faces. What is it checking against? Because it would have to be like every Jedi, because there is no explanation for them knowing which Jedi were there. Right? It's not like Sidious was given information, and he could have asked, or even the Neimoidians, the Trade Federation, could have been, here's images from our security system of their faces, and it's like, oh, I know who those are. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that at all. To explain face to face. But and it is also, in that previous chapter, it was implied very, very clearly, such that you cannot. It is not a foolish thing to infer that they are searching for Force disturbances. Jedi Knights would manifest a particularly strong presence in the Force. It took only a minute. He turned back toward his ship. Spherical probe droids floated through the hatchway one after another. Because also, to further reinforce, it's not just you talking about the Force and then getting to the probe droids there, that set up in an explanation. It's also, if the probe droids can't, and you're making a statement, the statement would only apply to Maul, in which case then he doesn't need the probe droids. He'd just know they're in that city. Because he's sending them out to different cities. He's like up high, looking down, there's Mos Espa, there's another city, there's another city. He sends one to each. I just want to see. Okay. Yeah, he took the electro binoculars from his eyes. The lights of the cities were clearly visible against the growing dark. There were others, they were far on the outside of the Dune Sea. Yeah. Then it gets him doing the stuff about basically calling out the probe droids. That's where we get the Jedi Knights would manifest a particularly strong presence in the Force. So it's clearly referencing the droids there. That's why we're talking about this. And then they're doing face-to-face searching. But it's also, why would they even know to look for Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan? And by the way, in theory, it's actually looking for the Queen. They're looking for the Queen. Which has certain problems there. One is, why do you think that she'd be out of the ship? Two, they are... no one recognizes her outside of the makeup. And it does seem like that... Well, no, it explicitly said. The makeup is also theatrical to make it hard to read her face, to know how old she is and such. So she would be disguised when not wearing the makeup. Like, the makeup itself is a disguise. So you can't really be searching for her. They don't necessarily know anyone else that would be there. It's like, it's only the Queen that you know for certain. Maybe Panaka, the head of security. But Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, that maybe you're looking for. But you don't know what the Queen looks like without the makeup. You don't know that it's Qui-Gon. You don't know that it's Obi-Wan. At least Panaka, well, he's on the ship, so it's never going to find anything. This isn't how you try to find them. Yeah, it just... Yeah. Anyway, let me just quickly look ahead. The chapter ends with the light going green, so we will get the race starting. I just want to see... Okay, so chapter 13 is the entirety of the race. I just wanted to see if that was the case. Chapter 14 does start with with Anakin winning it. So yeah, that would be interesting to read. It also looked like it was a relatively long chapter, which we'll see. It's one of those things where I don't know how well you could stretch that out, but you certainly can, and we'll see how. And maybe we'll get closer to an explanation of what Maul is looking for. I doubt we will. It seems more like it's just he's looking for them. How? I don't know. We'll just start writing it. Then it's like, write one chapter. Yeah, this is what he's doing. Write another chapter. he's doing it this way. It's like these aren't the same thing. It's like we're just going on. Flimsy and fragile. Flimsy and fragile. All right. I said it was going to be short. It was a short chapter. So see you next time.